Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. I mean, do you think anyone has the ability to tell a good story?
Uh, they might have good stories, but to tell it well, that is a skill based thing that you have to practice. So we all have stories. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I don't believe in like it's true. Like if you're someone who can get things off from the get go, great. You have the natural talent for it, but anything is practice. Like if I don't create something for a while and then get back to it, I don't like I've lost touch. I'm rustic. So like people have stories, but in order to hone them, it's still you just have to keep doing it, just grinding it. Like creativity is not something that you're born with.
Yeah.
Like you're not naturally creative. And
Yeah.
like that's something
I mean,
just
people think of like, oh, well, man, these guys were, these like Mozart was he was a kid writing these insane. Except his father was a pianist, and
yeah. And the hours that you put into
I think he had like 3,000 hours by the time he was 5 on the
Exactly.
piano. 3,000 by the time he was 5. It's like, okay, well, that makes a little bit more
Yeah.
sense now, I mean, I've never even touched a piano, like, okay, well, that makes sense.
Creative is it's extremely practice. It's you keep putting this filter to everything you do. Like even if for next project. So that's how I got through the reason I was able to get gigs right out of college was because every project that I had, I was like, how can I make my project different from everyone else's? So if the professor said you have to make a PowerPoint presentation on this topic, I mean, okay, everyone's doing a PowerPoint presentation. Can I make this a documentary video instead? Or if the professor said only a PowerPoint presentation, how can I make this presentation look different?
Mhm.
So like
How can I implement different styles or formats or mediums?
exactly. So I'm like I had that constantly. I would put that filter to everything that I did, and that became a practice. So like my first, when I look back at some of the stuff, like complete horrid shit.
Yeah, of
But
course.
the fact that I put that filter on and I kept doing, I'm at a point where, oh yeah, like I can make something that is above average at this point. Not great maybe, but I know that it's going to be above average. So it's just practice. Creativity is just doing shit over and over again, like anything else that you want to be good at.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, my creativity journey or whatever was never like, because I never really saw myself as a creative person. Like I always saw myself more as like an analytical person.
Yeah.
And then at some point I realized like that is like a form of creativity. It's just I wasn't really letting it live because I didn't see myself as a creative person. So I wasn't embracing it. And then at some point, maybe around like 2018 or 2019, I started realizing like, wait, like I could be creative. It's just that it has to look a little bit different for me. And yeah, I think I had like a really like big change in how I presented stories, and it definitely resonated with my audiences online once I started kind of like actually embracing the idea of being creative. Like I just was like, I'm not creative,
Yeah.
So it's an interesting idea that it's like actually partly a mindset as well that can affect your creativity because of what you're bringing, the lens you're using to see life every day. Like you said, you're looking at it differently every single time, and you're trying to find new ways to do it, which I was always trying to find new ways to do things, but like from like an analytical, like efficiency point of view. And then when I started like realizing that I could apply that same filter, but like from like a interest and audience driven perspective, it's like, oh, that it unlocks something for me.
Nice.
So
and the fact that people associate creativity with the arts, right?
yeah.
So they had this is I don't
painting,
creativity.
music.
Yeah, exactly. Creativity is everywhere. Like you're creative if you find a different way to fill water in this glass, right? Like
yeah.
So I think there's this like it's put on a pedestal, creativity, which I don't see the reason to.
Because like inherently, any invention was an act of creativity.
Exactly.
Because you're quite literally creating something that didn't exist before.
There's this term in Hindi called jugaad, which I quite like, honestly. It's just like finding weird ways to make things happen.
Yeah.
So it's just that, like, just if you have a problem and you find a way to solve it, you're creative. So it doesn't matter if it's through painting or art. So yeah. So
and I think like bringing that mentality to other areas in life directly helps the art that you hope to eventually make.
It takes the pressure off, and the expectations are like,